Good evening. As the drought in North Otago drags on, farmers desperate for water are turning their attention underground. Experts have been working for the past few years surveying the underground water resources of the area. Their findings are due out in a few months. Kathy Graham has the story.
This coastal strip of black soil at Kakanui is one of the most fertile regions in Otago. It's been the home of market gardeners for generations. But now, after months of drought, even irrigated areas like this are in trouble.
If we don't get rain within the next 4 to 6 weeks, I would say that most of the gardens here would be hoeing in a large quantity of their greens that they've planted out. It looks good off the road, there's a wee bit of greenery around, but when you actually walk up to them and have a look, they're really blue, really struggling to grow.
Just a couple of years ago, this paddock was a lake. Now the water table's dropped so low, the pumps are struggling to get it out. Digging deeper is Carleen's last hope. Farmers like him, desperate for water, are turning their attention to what's below the ground, and they're turning to the experts for help. They've been busy in the field for the past 4 years, surveying the underground water resources in drought-stricken North Otago. The survey was instigated by local farmers. It's being carried out by the Otago Catchment Board, and its experts have covered every square kilometre of the region. Today they were in the Kakanui Valley. A geologist and a geophysicist testing resistivity. The data from the electrodes helps to fill out the profile of what's under the ground.
At the moment it's looking like the gravels are fairly shallow, although there is a reasonable thickness of saturated gravels there.
Is that surprising?
It tends to confirm what we understand about the system.
This farmer may be luckier. There's already a bore on his property. He's reactivating it in the hope of saving his crop of black currants.
Well, we had no water, and like most things, you need water, you don't need food. So that's why we're doing it. I got a brother-in-law down there, he put water on this year and he doubled his production. So that's why I'm starting up.
The contrast between the two fields of black currants says it all.
We believe the resource is a resource, not a regional resource, but a resource, a local resource from farm to farm. So it's probably not a resource that could be exploited by everybody, but certainly by the few rather than the many.
The report's due out in September.
The process to decide who will preside over the new Dunedin City Council has started. The Citizens Association is meeting right now to decide who its mayoral candidate will be. Kim Hurring reports major changes in this year's local body elections are making the job more difficult than ever.
The most obvious change to the face of Dunedin's triennial election will be the absence of Sir Clifford Skeggs. He will not stand for a 5th term, although in typical style he says he's deliberately kept the pundits guessing. The other major feature is the new structure of the council. Like the renovation of the old municipal chambers, the council's being renovated. It'll have 20 instead of 12 councillors and will represent places as diverse as Port Chalmers and Strathtyre. What do you believe the role of the new mayor will be in the new district council?
Well, I believe the new mayor is going to have to adopt a very conciliatory sort of stance. He is going to have to be a communicator. And of course we have such a large area to cover that he will have to have an intimate knowledge of the problems of all the new wards.
This is where the Citizens Association is meeting tonight to decide who it wants to be the next mayor of Dunedin. They have 6 nominations and there are 3 front runners. Long-serving councillor and former MP Richard Walls, prominent lawyer and Harbour Board member Michael Haggett, and former councillor and parliamentary candidate Ian McMeeking.
We have, for the first time that I know of, a situation where we're choosing from 3 very fine candidates.
How difficult do you think that decision's going to be?
I believe it is going to be an extremely difficult decision tonight, and I think it may well take some considerable time. We will certainly be very careful in our deliberations.
The Labour Party will be choosing its candidates within the next couple of months, although it's thought that high-profiled David Benson-Pope might be a first-time contender. Another councillor who's said she's a probable is Elizabeth Hannon, although she, like many others, still feels it's too early to declare her hand for the elections that are still 8 months away in October.
3 Southland Engineers left today for the Soviet Far East. They're going to assemble a peat dryer and packer, which was made in Invercargill. The contract came from a New Zealand Dairy Board project to help the Soviet government pay for more dairy products. Peter Cruikshank with the details.
The family engineering company, George Wilson and Sons, is versatile, making anything from bulldozer blades to gold extractors. The 3 engineers chosen to assemble 5 container loads of machinery have packed warm things to work at 16 degrees below. They head to the island of Sakhalin, from where fighters shot down a Korean jetliner in 1983. While they can expect to step back in time, they aren't going totally without home comforts.
We had to tender against German and Canadian opposition, and basically we have exported 2 of these machines to Australia before, so we have had past experience in this type of industry.
The plant is similar to those built and working in Southland. The dryer, the electronic control system and the packing machinery were all fabricated in Invercargill and left for the Soviet island in January. It's only 40 kilometres from Japan, where some of the peat will be sold.
They've got a 4 million population on the island, which is about the same size as the South Island in New Zealand, and with a population like that, I would say that it'll be fairly well organised. Fairly big towns and what have you.
The trio hopes to be back home in less than a month.
Cricketer Stephen Boock arrived home this afternoon after the final Pakistan test, hopeful that his long international career may not yet be over. Boock justified his recall for the Auckland test, bowling an astonishing 70 overs on a test wicket he described as awful. Here's Bernard Buck.
After losing the toss, New Zealand had to bowl when the Auckland wicket most suited batting. Bock's bowling caused a record number of runs, but he took a wicket and was satisfied with his effort. There was a lot of ill feeling during the match, so did it continue off the field?
Yeah, there wasn't really anything happening between the 2 teams. There was the tenseness of a test match, and I think the Pakistanis are very fierce competitors, as we are. However, it never gets to be personal things between players and between teams, and it isn't something that happens off the field at all.
So at the end of the day, things were quite pleasant
very
again.
good, yeah.
The veteran spinner isn't ruling out the possibility that he is still to play his last match for New Zealand.
Well, there's, the chance gets greater as I get older. I don't know. I enjoy playing. They're a very, very good bunch of guys to play with. They're very competitive, and while I enjoy it, I feel I'll be available.
What about next season for Otago? Will you be turning out again?
No, that's hard. Obviously, if I want to play Test cricket, I've got to play for Otago. I have to wait until the start of next season.
A Queenstown farmer has come home with a top award from the annual Australian Country Music Festival at Tamworth in New South Wales. Reg McTaggat won the amateur male vocal section in the contest to follow in the footsteps of New Zealand country music greats such as Suzanne Prentice and Patsy Rigger, who both won professional awards at Tamworth in the past. Alan Brady talked to him on his return.
He's the epitome of the country music gentleman. Friendly but shy, as relaxed with his guitar and his music as he is with his dogs down on the farm near Frankton. But don't let that rustic reserve fool you. Reg McTaggat's a seasoned performer. In central Otago, he's well known as a member of the Kawaro County Band. He's president of the Shotover Country Music Club and has been a finalist and judge at the Gore Gold Guitar Awards. Yet no one was more surprised than he was when he was voted top male vocalist in this year's Tamworth Festival.
I've always wanted to go over and have a look. I never went over there with any great ambition to come home with any awards or anything, and it was just a nice feeling to end up with one.
This week, Reg McTaggat recorded a demonstration tape for an Australian record company. The song was the one which won him Australasia's top country music award. But the shy sheep farmer has no thoughts at this stage of turning his back on life down on the farm.
If the opportunity come to make an album, I would take it. But I haven't got any great ambitions at the moment.
So don't blame her, life turned her that way.
And the runner-up in the amateur section at Tamworth was former Dunedin man Errol Tasker, who now lives in Australia. Now the temperatures, with tonight's backdrop, some eye-catching artwork at Portobello. Half Moon Bay was overcast and 17 at 3 o'clock. Invercargill cloudy and 17, a high tomorrow of 16. Gore was overcast but 18. Belquitha sunny and 16. Dunedin cloudy 17, a high of 17 tomorrow. Palmerston sunny and 20, and Ranfurly was fine with 23. Lumsden had 17, Queenstown partly cloudy 21, Wanaka partly cloudy 22, Alexandra fine 23, and Tayana sunny and 20. We'll be back tomorrow night. Good night.